Hello, I am Steve, the creator of the Media Wiz, and I am joined by two friends that they've helped me a lot with these videos over the years. We have Shannon, head of Shannon Reviews, and Cat, who has done a lot for this channel. And the main thing you might know her for recently is the voice of the fangirls in the Planet Goofball videos. Say hi, guys.
Hi. Oh, and don't forget Media Wiz over there that I was narrator for one of those fangirls vids.
Yes, you were. You were the narrator. And you will eventually get to play the Knight Rider fangirl when we get to that video eventually.
I'm excited. Hello. Yo.
So what this video is my original plan was I was just going to go down the top 15 worst movies that I reviewed for my channel, but these guys actually decided a better idea. They went through my videos and they decided to make their own personal lists, and I think that's actually more interesting that we actually have a group discussion. So my list is primarily going to be movies, but these guys have their own lists of different stuff, movies, TV shows, basically all the different types of stuff that I've talked about over the years. So I'm very curious, like, what order you guys are going to put your lists. We had a brief rundown of what, like, some of the stuff that was on it, but we didn't go down which order. So, yeah. So I'm gonna go down my list, and then what we can do is we can like kind of have like conversations based on what is on the list, and then we'll just go person by person on their list and do the same thing there. Does that sound good?
Yep. Yep.
All right. So on my list, number 15 for worst movies on my list is Manos: The Hands of Fate. I did this for a tribute zone as the critical kid, and yeah, it's a pretty obvious choice. It's very boring, and it's clearly made by someone who has never made a film before, because the director of this was just like some farmer and I don't know where. But I give the guy who made it this, he at least admitted to making one of the worst movies ever made, so at least he owned up to it. That said, bad cinematography. I never noticed this until just recently. There is a part in Manos: The Hands of Fate where, if you look carefully, the guy mouths the word "cut," and that is left in the movie.
Oh dear Lord.
Just long spells of people just kind of like looking at things and not doing anything. Like it goes on for like the whole opening. I feel like goes on for an eternity. There's lots of dubbing because apparently they had really bad mic quality, which I'm not surprised because this movie looks like it costed less than $5. Just there's a reason Manos is regarded as one of the worst movies ever, but since it's one of the most obvious choices, that's why it's so low on mine. Number 14 is Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie. I don't know if either of you guys have ever seen Tim and Eric.
Nope. I don't think so.
Yeah, okay, so it's an Adult Swim show. It's basically a skit comedy series, and I said in the video that I'm not a fan of this kind of humor, but I have to be honest when I say there are things in Tim and Eric that have made me laugh. I mean, they're the guys that did it's very real estate. That meme, that's from their show. The movie itself tries to have a plot, and it just basically lingers in that same like anti-comedy thing where a lot of the humor feels like it's just like, oh, the joke is that it's not funny. That's the joke, like a lot of Adult Swim shows. This is coming from someone that likes Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and I know people don't like the humor of that, but Aqua Teen Hunger Force I think is a little bit better just based on how bizarre it is. But the plot of Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie is they make a $1 billion film with money that they got from this like mafia film company. And they're like, oh, you have to give us our money back at this date. So what they do is they skip town because they see an ad for a mall that they figure, hey, well, if we fix up that mall, we can get the money back. And they take care of the mall. And from there, it's just kind of a series of stuff that happens. There's literally a part where they stop the movie, turn to the audience, and explain a joke. And it goes on way too long. And that was the point in the movie I almost turned it off.
But I think if you have to explain the joke, there is no joke. Quote, exactly. The Joker.
Yeah, but that exactly. But again, that's apparently their style of humor, and I get like I know people. I watch people on YouTube that are clearly inspired by these guys, and I think they're funny. Like Red Letter Media, Your Movie Sucks, Filthy Frank, JonTron. Like I like those people because I think they're funny. But it's just like this movie. Here's the thing. I'm friends with people who either hate the show or love the show. And the few people that love the show that I'm friends with, when I brought up the movie, some of them said they never saw it, and other people said that they didn't like it. So I think that kind of summarizes Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie. Number 13 is The Art of Getting By, which is very much a like film festival movie. It's just kind of stuff that happens. Like it literally is just it focuses on the life of a girl in college, and she does stuff with her job, and she kind of chases after a boy, and she, her day to day. It's basically just day in the life of a millennial. That's the entire movie. It's like it's too upbeat to be a drama. Like it's like if you mixed a Nickelodeon movie with a Lifetime original movie. That's basically what.
I went Hallmark.
Yeah. Oh, no. That's too sappy for this, apparently. Like it has it. Oh my god. I guess if you're into these kind of like film festival movies, you'd be into it. But just before we started recording this, I was looking over like reviews of it. It seems like even people in that market didn't really care for this movie. So, yeah. What are you gonna do? Okay, number 12 is It's a Boy Girl Thing. This is a body swap comedy where the big selling point of the movie is it's a teenage boy and a teenage girl and they switch bodies, waka waka. That's the whole premise.
Oh god, that's stupid.
Yeah, like
I feel like we've seen this already.
Yeah. There's plenty of things that I've done this before. The big draw is like she's the awkward nerdy girl who who's not really good at social gatherings and stuff, and she'd rather read books. And he's the dick jock who's all that in a bag of chips. And then when they go to a school field trip, there's this ancient artifact that supposedly has magical powers. They say that sounds ridiculous. The next day they wake up in each other's bodies, and then they learn that each other's lives aren't as easy as they thought. Yeah, it's very cliched. It's like if it's kind of like a Disney Channel movie if they ramped it to PG-13. That's pretty much what this is.
What a Freaky Friday!
Exactly.
I think recently they actually did a Disney Channel movie where they had a boy-girl body switch movie.
One thing, I can't believe I didn't bring this up in my video. It kind of reminds me of the Jimmy Neutron episode where they did this, where Jimmy and Cindy switch bodies.
Oh my god, and then they had to go, like, switch them back, and then, like, you realize towards the end that, they kind of have a crush on each other because the one thing was, like, back and forth.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's just throw that out, and then it's like, eh.
But even then, say what you want about Jimmy Neutron, at least it's a boy-girl thing.
At least it's not SpongeBob.
Oh, you mean the fact that it's being melted into the ground? Oh, God.
Like the Energizer Bunny, it's still going.
Kill it with fire. Put it out. Just stop.
Oh, God, yeah. And unfortunately, I've got more SpongeBob videos in the works, so look forward to those when those come out. Okay, number 11 on my list is so far the one of many bad Eddie Murphy movies, Meet Dave.
I don't think I've seen. Well, I don't want to meet Dave, and from what your voice sounds like, I shouldn't.
Okay, well, this is for those who forget. This is the movie where Eddie Murphy plays an alien robot that lands on Earth, and he's piloted by a bunch of like action figure-sized people inside. And oh my god! The thing is, I heard this movie was bad, but I wanted to give it a chance. I try to be fair with stuff that I'm reviewing, even if it's really bad. I go into it not wanting to hate stuff because I don't want to be that cynical. But I remember by the hour. I bet like the 40-minute mark of this movie, there was a point where it felt like hitting a brick wall where I'm just like, oh my God, this is really bad. It's like, there's no coming back. It's really awful. There's a bunch of like the product placement. There is literally a scene where they're talking about, oh, we got to get you some new digs. You're in New York. You can't go walking around like this. Hard cuts to Old Navy. A woman plunges her face into the camera. Welcome to Old Navy. It's like, it's literally in your face product placement.
Oh God.
Oh man. And then there's like jokes that just don't make sense. Like they're really inconsistent. There's a part where Eddie Murphy, he's in a hot dog eating contest, and since he's a robot, he doesn't really have to worry about like weight or how many hot dogs he eats. But then they're like, oh no, like we have to, the stomach system's getting overheated or something. We have to evacuate the bowels. And the joke is, oh, that's what he says. He says he has to go evacuate his bowels. But then later on, there's a part in the movie where it's like, wait, who's operating the arm? It's not working properly. And then one guy runs in, sorry, I was using the bathroom. So it's like, wait, is the joke that he doesn't know how to say, I need to use the bathroom? Because they clearly know how to say it if they said it later. Yeah. Oh, Ed Helms is the villain for some reason. He's like the stick in the mud who wants to be in control of the body. And I swear to God, at one point, his plan is he wants to drain Earth for its water. And he, before he does it, he goes, "Sorry, Earth, but sometimes number two happens." I just went, "No!" There's
What year was this movie made?
like 2006, I want to say. Let me check.
Well, that would explain a lot.
Why do I? Why do I?
2008.
Oh my God! Why do I feel like this is like something like Adam Sandler would do? Like I originally pictured Robin Williams, but I didn't want to insult his memory by putting him in this piece of trash. So I'm like, okay, let's go with Adam Sandler.
This is the same guy that also directed another bad Eddie Murphy movie, A Thousand Words, which is basically just a ripoff of Liar Liar. But Eddie Murphy can't speak the entire movie. The only good movie this guy has in his filmography is Good Burger.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
Yay. Man. Oh, one more thing before we move on. There is the most unfunny gay joke in this movie where, okay, since they landed in New York, there's a part where they're trying to adapt to Earth customs, and they see like a live show where they're doing some kind of really girly, like effeminate dance with a bunch of guys like tap dancing and doing jazz hands. And then there's one guy who's supposed to be like really gruff and serious. And then later on, when the people on board the robot Eddie Murphy start like adapting to Earth's culture, there's a part where they're in that gruff guy's like cabin quarters, and it's like all like filled with like fashionista stuff. And they're like, "Do you swing in the opposite orientation?" And he goes, "No, I don't." There's a pause. They raise an eyebrow. "Okay, I'm just kidding. Yes, I am." And he like literally turns into a flamingo at that point. He just turns into like the stereotype, "I'm gay." He turns into that. I'm just like, no.
Oh God.
I think that was the point where I got really pissed off. I'm like, I'm done. This movie is irredeemable at this point.
So is this movie now going to be on the banned list?
For
that joke?
Maybe, who knows? The question is, do people even give enough of a crap to go back and watch Meet Dave?
Honestly, it should only be banned for being bad.
Yeah, that's and shame. I am so sorry, Bill Corbett of MST3K, who was a writer on this movie. I'm so sorry, Bill Corbett. Man. Okay.
Wow, so Meet Dave put The Room to shame.
I guess.
I mean, The Room is like one of those "it's so bad it's good" movies.
Yes.
But like this, just yikes.
This is sure. It's just so bad it's bad. Okay, so number 10. This is probably going to end up on your list. I think both of you listed this. Number 10 is Spy Kids 4: All the Time in the World.
Oh yes. My God. Yes. Oh Jesus. Oh Lord. Okay, so I'm like Joel McHale from The Soup. Okay. Then we have Jessica Alba. Okay. And then we have like store brand Spy Kids. And like, where the hell's Carmen and Junie? And then it's like Junie was on a secret mission for years. And like, you didn't think to contact your parents. And it's like, okay. I mean, I guess it was like in 4D, so like it was like smell-o-vision or something like that in the movie theaters. And I'm like, oh my God, like this was so like this is like Robert Rodriguez feat.
Yeah. I mean, like one of the things that I can't stand about this movie is, I mean, okay, say what you want about the Spy Kids sequels. Like, Spy Kids 3, in my opinion, is so bad that it's funny. There's so many like memorable quotes in that movie.
Oh, God. Oh, poor Sly. Poor Sly Stallone.
For imprisoning me, for using me. But oh God, yeah, the villain in this movie's name is TikTok, which I can't believe they predicted that. But
not only did they predict TikTok, they predicted Endgame.
Oh God, Ricky Gervais is the robot dog in this, and he's not funny.
No.
Yeah.
He's actually a funny guy.
Some of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He deserves better than this. There's a part where he goes like Yoda from the prequels mode, because he's like push this button, and then he beats up all the bad guys in one sitting. And he just goes, "Oh, put that on YouTube." I went, Stop it!
Oh.
My favorite thing is they set up that like the person behind this is someone who was frozen from the 30s, and then like Jessica Alba's boss, the head of the organization, he's the only one that he talks like 30s man. He's like, she's like, oh, I need to go take care of my kids, and he's like, yeah, go home and take care of those little ankle biters. Like he literally talks like 30s man, and then when it's revealed that he's the villain, like he just drops that entirely. I'm like, what the hell happened?
Oh wow. Okay, so the girl in it, Rowan Blanchard, I think her name is, and she played she was the sister in Spy Kids 4. She was Riley Matthews in Girl Meets World. I'm like, why does she look so familiar? I'm like, oh my god, Girl Meets World.
Yeah.
Well, at least she got to be in something good.
That's
Was
true.
the boy in anything?
Let me check. Mason Cook, I think his name is. The Goldberg, Speechless.
Oh yes.
He was the kid in the Lone Ranger.
Oh.
But he Grimm, if there be, but yeah, Speechless and the Goldbergs, I think.
At least he was in the Goldbergs. The Goldbergs is a good show.
Mm-hmm.
But man, yeah, Spy Kids 4. Oh, by the way, this is like the second Robert Rodriguez movie I've seen where the baby character doesn't get a name other than the baby. He did that in Shorts too, and I'm like, really? Then again, this is the guy that names his children character things like Rocket and Razor and stuff like that.
Well, he did. He gave Carmen like a whole long Spanish name.
Oh, I forgot. Oh, they reused that joke too from the first movie. Holy shit, Taki mushrooms. I'm like, I know it's from the first one, but screw that.
Funny.
Yeah, I think that joke was for like the older generation who grew up with the original Spy Kids.
Yeah. That's another thing this movie doesn't have. This movie doesn't even have a cameo from Danny Trejo, who shows up in almost all these movies. He gets like, they show a quick clip from one of the other movies, and I'm like, was that their attempt at plugging him in the film? Because if so, that's sad.
Well, at least he's doing well being in Big City Greens and the third SpongeBob movie.
He was one of the better things in that.
Yeah, but I think he needs to do another Machete movie.
Oh god, that's what Robert Rodriguez should do. He should do another Machete.
Mm-hmm.
Machete or Machete, depending on who you are and how you pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so now guys, what is worse than a bad sequel to a childhood classic? A sequel to an already bad movie, which is why number 9 on my list is Super Babies, Baby Geniuses 2.
Oh my god, I didn't even see the first one.
Me either.
I vaguely remember seeing it as a kid. One of the ultimate lies to my childhood was that the cover for the first one described it as a live-action Rugrats. Whoever wrote that, you're a liar and you know it.
Yeah, the only live-action Rugrats is Look Who's Talking 2, and then like the third Look Who's Talking film.
Sure. But yeah, like, did the first Super Babies even do well to even warrant a sequel? Like, in terms of like box office reception? Like, I'm looking that up right now. Was Baby Geniuses enough of a success to warrant a second one?
I'm going to assume no.
Didn't that movie have a bit of controversy because it was forcing the kids to cry on camera?
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. The budget for the first Baby Geniuses was $12 million, and it made back $36.5 million. So
not bad.
Yeah.
So it technically made its budget back, but that doesn't make it a good film.
Exactly.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't warrant the sequel. I mean, oh my god. Here's the thing, right? This movie's called Super Babies. The Super Babies themselves show up twice, and once it's at the very end of the movie. that is lamb. Jon Voight doing a terrible German accent throughout this entire film, which is embarrassing.
And for those who don't know, Jon Voight is Angelina Jolie's father, in case anybody wanted to know.
And he was also the evil, bumbling principal in the Bratz movie.
Oh, God.
He was also in good movies, too. But yeah, so Super Babies, it's like, oh my god, so many embarrassing things. Oh, the obvious plot twist where, Kahuna, the legendary Super Baby who fights bad guys, yeah, his brother is evil Jon Voight. It's like, yeah, I could have seen that one coming a mile away.
And isn't it just kind of kind of annoying that the girl has love power. She can make anybody fall in love.
Yeah, she gets the
Care
lamest power.
Bears. Care Bears.
Yeah. Oh, and one kid's turned into the Luxo ball from the Pixar shorts.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's so bad. Like for a while, this was number one on IMDb's top 100 worst movies. And while I don't think it's personally like number one, it definitely deserves a spot on that list. It eventually got bumped over the years, but yeah, there's no reason for Super
What
Baby.
replaced it as number one? I'm just curious.
As of now, I'm looking that up.
I'm going to guess either Suicide Squad or the original Justice League.
Oh, no. Super Babies is currently number 2 on that list. Number 1 is something that's actually number 3 on my list, so we'll get to that when we get to it.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
All right. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, so final thoughts. Super Babies, why does this exist? And also, better question, why are there so many straight-to-video sequels of Baby Geniuses like it's freaking like buddy movies all of a sudden? Why?
I don't know.
So okay, number 8 is an absolute insult to history, and it's 3 movies technically, but I felt like they all deserve the same spot since they're all basically the same. The animated Titanic movies.
Yep, that's on my list.
Yes. Yeah. So the Legend of the Titanic, the Legend Goes On, and Tentaclino. By the way, there is a TV show based on this. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, Media Hunter and Hero of Tomorrow reviewed it. I highly recommend checking out their review. Who decided to make this a TV show? But
why?
So, Legend of the Titanic is the first one. It's the one that has the magic moonbeams, and the dolphins, and the shark gang, and the octopus. What an absolute insult to humanity! It's like at the very end of them going, "Good job, tentacles! You saved everyone that couldn't make it to the lifeboats." Yeah, way to insult the dead of people who died in the Titanic. Way to go, movie. Let's see, and then Titanic: The Legend Goes On. That's the one with the rapping dog. So that's all you really need to know. So many ripoffs in this one, man. There are ripoffs of everything. Disney movies, Don Bluth movies. There's like a Sherlock Holmes guy in it. There's like a Celine Dion stand-in. Like, there's so much ripping off in this movie. This one's the closest to so bad it's funny because it has the rapping dog. But even then, it's really insulting when they do and everyone lived happily ever after in a movie based on the Titanic. And then we move on to Tentaclino, which is the most out there. It's so insane. They take the Titanic and make it into a movie about Atlantis and talking rats that want to take the elixir of life and bring it to the surface. And oh God, it makes it. Then again, what'd you expect for a sequel to a movie that somehow made the Titanic sinkage about whaling? That was in the first one.
And this was the one that also mentioned doggy hell, when the dog thinks he's in hell.
Yeah, that's right. Meanwhile, watching this movie puts you in regular hell.
Precisely.
Oh my God. Yeah, and I remember the first time I watched this movie before anyone did reviews of it. I remember discovering it on YouTube. Actually, no, that's not true. I think I discovered it after Cartoon Hero reviewed it. I remember as soon as the Atlanteans showed up, I went, what? And the fact the movie just gets even more bonkers from there. Oh, and this movie tops Legend Goes On because this movie has rapping shark with a bad villain song, and you also get a terrible like techno dance song from this flamboyant gay wind-up fish toy thing. Insult to humanity, tragedy, science, just everything about these movies is an insult. So yeah. That's why they all get the spot.
Yes.
Now, speaking of insulting, we get to number 7. Now, I've talked about a couple Video Brinquedo movies in my day. 4 in total, 3 were for Media Wiz. And Little Cars in the Great Race was bad, but it was kind of funny bad, because it was the very first Video Brinquedo movie I've ever seen, like in full at that time. And Tiny Robots is making honorable mentions for me, because the biggest crime with it is that it's just boring.
I can attest to that.
Yeah, Kat here sat through the movie with me to help me take notes, and she's a trooper for that.
Yeah, and we pointed out all the things they stole and they put in the background.
Yeah, but what is making the list is quite possibly their worst ripoff that I talked about. What's Up, Balloon to the Rescue?
What?
Yeah, so this is their ripoff of Up, where they somehow were able to work it into their previous ripoff of Monsters vs. Aliens, Little and Big Monsters. Seriously. And they made it about the scientist characters from that, and one of their niece and nephew, along with this French stereotype. By the way, this is probably the most offensive that these movies get, because oh my god, the stereotypes that are in this with the French guy and later the Asian guy, it is like shockingly offensive.
Oh no.
Oh my god, like it's like a meme at this point, with this infamous part where there's one part where the little kid says like, "Good job, China. I'll give you some Mugu Gai Pan when we get back to the house." It's like, okay.
Oh God.
Who sat there and thought that's good? Like, I would love to know if the original Brazilian version of this movie actually had that and they translated it, because what the hell? What the actual hell?
Oh my god, this reminds, like, I was trying to watch Breakfast at Tiffany's, and Mickey Rooney. Yeah, I tried watching it, and I'm like, as soon as Mickey Rooney entered on screen, I'm like, done. I can't.
Nope.
Dude,
nope.
Oh no, done.
You want to know how sad this is? This movie makes Breakfast at Tiffany's look politically correct. That's how bad it is. Oh man, yeah, everything about it is just so awful. Like, dumb characters, awful dialogue. There's everything about it. It's a Video Brinquedo movie. Obviously, one of them had to make the list, but I was like, that's the reason why this made my list. It's like, okay, little cars, so bad it's funny. It's really bad, but it's also kind of funny. And Tiny Robots, just very boring. This actually legitimately made me upset. And James Sullivan, hi Maytude, was there watching it with me to help me take notes. So James, if you see this, thank you for your service. Number 6, Oasis of the Zombies. This is a terrible, I guess it was made for the French market or the Spanish market. Basically, it's from a director, Jesus Franco, who has like 200 movie credits to his name. And he's been directing things since the 60s up until 2013 when he passed away. Basically, it came out in 1982, which, keep in mind, that's the same year that Raiders and E.T. came out.
All right.
But this movie looks like it's from the 70s, and I don't know if that's just like this guy's forte. So it feels like they kind of put like 2 or 3 movies together in one. So basically, it's about this desert area, and there's gold in it, and it's protected by Nazi zombies. And, well, okay, the opening involves 2 attractive girls walking out to this desert. Then they get attacked. They're the opening kill. Title screen. Then we cut over to, we keep flip-flopping between these 2 different subplots back and forth. There's a colonel who is talking with an old buddy of his, and he talks about how, then, you know, back in the days of World War II, the Nazis were guarding this gold, and eventually it seems like they're still trying to protect it in zombie form. By the way, the zombies that are in this, they honestly look like the aliens from Mac and Me. They're that bad. Meanwhile, that's going on. Eventually, the colonel gets killed by his buddy, who betrays him, and he goes to try and get the gold. Meanwhile, that colonel's son invites a bunch of friends over for like spring break or something, and they try to go look for the gold, and obviously people get picked off one by one by the zombies. It's very stupid. It's obviously very like this kind of like 70s exploitation schlock that this director seemed to really love. But I was so bored because this movie, I have the perfect description for this movie. It's like Manos minus any kind of comedic value.
Oh god.
It's just not funny to make fun of.
That's one of the worst kinds of bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like I was so tempted to record a commentary instead of a vlog for this movie, but my commentary, I was just like, what is happening? Like, that was the majority of it. I'm like, it's not even fun to commentate over. So I was like, I'll just do it. The vlog is so short because there's almost nothing to talk about. It's 5 minutes or 6 minutes. It's like, screw this movie. It's bad. And shout out to my fellow content creator, Mad Matt, because he was the one that told me about this movie when he did a video on it. And yeah, it's just as bad as he said. Man. All right. So number 5 is actually a tie. 2 movies that are equally offensive and equally as unfunny. We have Soul Plane and Jack and Jill.
Oh,
Ew.
God.
Okay, so yeah, Soul Plane, plain and simple, it's not funny. It is basically an attempt at doing like an urban version of Airplane with a bunch of different subplots that aren't funny. There's funny people in it, but there's nothing funny in it. It feels like the kind of movie that relies solely on stereotypes just for the sake of a joke, but the stereotypes, they do nothing with the stereotypes to even qualify as jokes. It's just
but here's like the thing, though, like, Airplane was a parody of Airport, so they're making a parody of a original movie. So a parody of a parody.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. I mean, a lot of the beats are kind of similar from Airplane as well. Like they even have the whole thing of trying to stop the plane from crashing. Like I said, very lazy stereotype humor. It's really really bad. I guess it tries to be equal opportunity offender, but it's not funny in the slightest. And speaking of which, that brings us to Jack and Jill. Now, I'm assuming that made your guys' list too, right?
Yes.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want, I'll let you guys talk about this for a little bit.
Oh god.
Discuss.
Okay. I think the first podcast I ever did was the Sandler Hell I did with Kayla and Patrick, and we actually talked about Jack and Jill. Oh my god, Adam Sandler in drag gave me nightmares for months.
Oh my god.
It was just like, why? It's like, I get it, but like, nah, dude. Nah, my dude. Just no. Do not Mrs. Doubtfire this. No, stop.
You don't even say that this is in the like. I feel like this isn't even in the same galaxy as Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh no. Robin Williams made a much more beautiful woman than Adam Sandler.
Yeah, he does not pull off the dress, and the fact that he speaks in one of his many annoying voices throughout most of the film as Jill, it gets really grating really fast. You'll want to leave the theater.
Yeah, I mean, oh god, and the product placement that's in this. This is probably the most whorish example of product placement I have ever seen in a film.
Oh my god, and not only that, Al Pacino. Al Pacino, like what? Like, were you just like down on your luck and you couldn't get anything outside Godfather or Scarface related roles, so you had to you were so desperate to be in Jack and Jill and do a Dunkin' Donuts commercial?
Dunkachino.
Dunkachino. Like, why?
Oh man.
Al, yeah. You are so much more better than this.
Not just Al Pacino. The cameos from like literally anybody you could imagine. SNL people, which that's a given with Happy Madison movies. There's so many like SNL people that are in this. But then you got like celebrity cameos from like sports figures and like products people and like food spokesman. Very awkwardly a cameo from Jared Fogle that clearly did not age well. Just oh my god, yeah. Everything about this movie, it feels like it's not even a movie. It feels like you're watching an hour-long commercial. There's literally a part where they go on a Royal Caribbean cruise, and it feels like you're watching an ad. There's like beauty shots of the starboard bow or whatever from like the dock, and then they show like a bunch of cool stuff that's on the ship. There's even a guy that walks to the camera and he goes, "Welcome to Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines." Because me and Gus did this for a crossover review, Media Wiz and Nostalgia Kid. When we did the review, I went, "Gus, this is so clearly a commercial that we're watching right now." By the way, the same night we watched this, we also watched Woody Woodpecker for Gus's show. So that was not a fun night.
Oh,
I'm
god.
sorry.
Yeah, oh my god. So, yeah, it's like, I think they used Jack and Jill for, like, torture, and maybe, like, in some reboot of, like, Clockwork Orange, that's what they show Alex in, like, the ward.
You know, I would believe that.
Also, how this movie gives the most obvious setup for a joke at the very end when they're watching the Dunkachino commercial and Al Pacino goes, "Burn this. No one must see this." That is the perfect like invitation for everyone in the audience to go, "That's what he said about the movie." Everything about it. Like, you know what this movie kind of reminds me of? This feels like a sketch for SNL back when Sandler was part of it. The skit that it reminds me of a little bit, now that I think about it, is that Jim Carrey skit where it's like a Jim Carrey family reunion and everyone is dressed up like one of his characters.
Oh, I love that one!
Yeah, that was funny. The reason that these share the same spot, going with the whole stereotype humor that isn't funny, the Mexican jokes that are in this movie, and that was what made me say this while we were watching it, when me and Gus watched it to take notes. I was like, who is this made for? Because like, is it for kids? Well, no, because like all this like really offensive humor with the Mexican stuff seems like really out of place. And like we said in the review, if Adam Sandler and Rob Schneider were still friends at that point, tell me that guy wouldn't have been played by Rob Schneider, because they keep trying to make him like, what was his catchphrase? It was like, it wasn't "you can do it." He says something all throughout the movie. He has like I'm kidding. Like after he says something really stereotypical, it's like, is this for children because that's really inappropriate, and are adults going to laugh at this? I highly doubt it.
Well, they didn't. So
Yeah. So Soul Plane, Jack and Jill, both horribly offensive and horribly unfunny films. All right. So number 4, Shannon, this is definitely on your list. I know that. Number 4, Scotland's very own Sir Billy.
Oh, for the love of God! Oh
I'm
my
so sorry
lord!
I put you through this.
So basically, Sean Connery, rumor has it, hated playing James Bond, yet throughout Sir Billy, he was James Bond, and throughout the film, I kept asking Stevie, why aren't we watching James Bond?
Yeah. And not just James Bond. They also find a way to sneak in Red October because there's a submarine that shows up for no reason.
Red October,
then,
and like I think Raiders too, or Indiana Jones. I think
yeah,
they try
somewhere.
to sneak into.
Yeah, somewhere. God, so much about this movie. The pacing about this movie is so bizarre because it's like, you know how in movies it's like, oh no, this person's in trouble. Quick, gather all the characters together so we can like form a plan and save them. That's the kind of thing you say for like the third act of a movie. That happens immediately after the end of the first act, and the rest of the movie is basically just an extended rescue mission. And it just feels like horribly paced. Way too many characters. None of them are really fleshed out. None of them are likable. Like everyone is just so annoying in this.
And CGI was awful.
Oh my God, the CG looks worse than the pilot for Jimmy Neutron, Runaway Rocket Boy. It looks worse than that. And apparently the people that directed it were apparently dicks who didn't know anything about an animated movie. Like there are rumors floating around from people that worked on it that said that they knew nothing about animation, and they got really pissed off that Scotland used Brave from Disney and Pixar that year for their promotional like ad campaign.
Gee, I wonder why.
Oh my God, everything about this movie is just, it's insufferable. It's so horrible. Yeah, so Sir Billy. Oh, and horribly inappropriate for kids once again. Like the female character that's supposed to be Sir Billy's love interest, they literally point out several times, wow, she's got a big rack. And I'm like, is this for kids? Is this a kids movie? That's what I said in the review. I'm like, kids movie. It's like, who is this made for?
Not kids, obviously.
It's made for the people it's made for the directors that wanted to get it made, I guess.
Exactly.
All right, so now we're in the top 3. Now, if you've been keeping up with the channel forever, you could probably guess what's in the top 3, but let's run through this. Number 3, which is currently number 1 on IMDb's worst movies list, disaster movie.
I think I wrote that.
Yeah, me too.
Did I not write that?
Yes, the movie that almost ended Media Wiz.
Oh.
Oh God, dude! I remember when I posted that review, so many people were messaging me like, "Are you really going to end doing these videos?" And I'm like, "No, don't worry, we're still going. This is just like set up for like a mini plot thing." But, oh my God, yeah. So parody movies. I remember this was the first movie I actively hated because at the time I was in middle school and I was like just getting into watching like content creators that talked about bad movies and bad media at the time. And I remember one of the first ones I saw was Spill.com's review of this movie. That was so bad they had to create a new rating that was, below their previous worst rating. So it was that bad. And at the time I was like, really? And so I went to Blockbuster Video. They had a copy of it back when Blockbuster was still around. I rented it and it was just as bad as they had said. I had never seen parody movies like this before. Like I only vaguely knew about Scary Movie, but I never saw them at the time. And needless to say, whatever your thoughts on the Scary Movie movies are, they're way better than this in every regard. Because this movie, just like Jack and Jill, it doesn't feel like a movie. It's just a series of references and going, people in bad costumes going, look over there, it's that thing from that thing. That's the whole movie.
I saw Epic Movie and that was pretty okay. I mean, I only saw it once, but I just remember they like parodied The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by Disney, and instead of the White Witch, it was the White Bitch.
Played by Stifler's mom from American Pie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Parodying epic movies. Epic films like Borat and Nacho Libre. Those are epic movies, right? I guess they were trying to parody like cinematic blockbusters with that. Yeah, because they reference like Harry Potter and that at least has more structure than this does. Because like
Yeah.
I remember in that Spill review they were like, oh, I guess the main parody is Cloverfield, and I'm like, saying that is being generous because like the only other parodies of disaster movies that show up are like completely throwaway. I think they reference Day the Earth Stood Still, and they reference Twister, which keep in mind came out in the 90s.
Yes. Oh my god, by the way, I love Twister.
Still need to see that one.
I know. I don't care what any other certain critics say. I love Twister.
I saw it once. I thought it was all right. It's like it's not that bad.
It was on Netflix. They took it off, but
Boo.
I know. I mean, I'm spoiled. I have it on Blu-ray.
So, you know what? People can say what they want about Twister. It's not disaster movie.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. It isn't.
I'll give it this. It's the most appropriate title for the film.
That's true.
I find this funny. In certain other countries, it's released under the title superhero movie, which is really funny because that's actually another parody movie that's still better than this.
Oh, God.
But and either way, they're wrong because superheroes, there's like 4 superhero movies that they parody. Hulk, Hellboy, Iron Man, and The Dark Knight. Those are the only 4 like superhero movies that are parodied in this cluster F of crap. There's like, oh, this movie does that thing that I hate that you see in these kind of parody movies where they'll show something and they'll have it like altered slightly, and then they'll still have the characters say it like it's the thing from the thing they're referencing. Like there's a part where they open up a laptop and it says Face Nook, and then they have a character say, "Oh, everybody's on Facebook, aren't they?" So what's the point of changing it? There's a part where they reference the live-action Speed Racer movie for some reason, and on the side of the car it says Mach 5.5, and then the characters pull a gun on Speed Racer and say, "You better get out of that Mach 5." It's like, what's the point of changing it if you're just going to say it anyway?
That's just lazy.
It is lazy.
Lazy and dumb.
Oh my God. Like even the movie that they did with these guys, Seltzerberg, Jason Freeberg and Aaron Seltzer, even the movie they did after this, Vampires Suck, while not very good, still had more structure than this. This is just nothing but a series of random references to stuff, and it's not connected at all. I mean, how is it you make a reference to the Love Guru and you somehow make a movie worse than the Love Guru? Oh man. So for the longest time, this probably would have been number 1, but 2 other movies squeaked past it, and let's get on with them. Number 2 is the review that followed the disaster movie review, and that is movie 43.
Ooh.
So basically what this film is, it's an anthology comedy film with a bunch of skits. It's kind of like Funny or Die, or like any of those kind of like videos where they get famous people and like, oh look, they're doing wacky things, except here it's horribly embarrassing. You want to know how bad it gets? The very first one is Hugh Jackman going on a blind date with Kate Winslet, I believe. And the big joke is, for 4 minutes, they're at a fancy restaurant. He takes off his scarf. He has a pair of testicles on his throat.
Oh, God.
And nobody besides her notices. That is the whole joke. And that's just setting up for more and more fail that goes on for the rest of the movie. So many bad ones. Some of these could have been funny. Some of them could have worked. Like, there's one, this was actually done as a skit on YouTube before. And it actually, and both feature Justin Long. It's superhero speed dating. And like, oh my God, it could have been funny, but it just wasn't. The Farrelly brothers, or at least one of them, who are the guys that made Dumb and Dumber, Something About Mary, Me, Myself, and Irene, etc.
And Osmosis Jones, right?
Yep. People can say what they want about that. It's not movie 43. There's so many skits in that. Yeah, there's a one where Anna Faris wants Chris Pratt to take a dump on her during sex. That's not funny.
Ew.
Yuck.
That's basically every joke in this is some kind of forced bodily function joke. Oh, here's a deliberate steal from something the Farrellys did. In the superhero speed dating skit, there's a part where Superman shows up and they make a joke about why his hair is so slicked back because he uses his super sperm. You know, kind of like that bit in Something About Mary.
Oh, God.
Yeah, let's see. The iBabe, which is the whole joke, is that it's an iPod that looks like a naked woman, and they're getting recalls for it because boys keep trying to stick their penises in it, and they get mangled because the fan is near the vajayjay. It's not funny. Everything about it, all these skits, like some of them have okay premises, and they don't do anything with it. Let's see. There's one where 2 guys kidnap. Oh yeah, Sean William Scott and Johnny Knoxville, aka one of the jackass guys and Stifler from American Pie. They kidnap a leprechaun played by Gerard Butler. I'm so sorry.
Oh no!
Okay,
Yeah.
but there's two things wrong with that. One, Gerard Butler's hot, and I will fight you on this. And two, Gerard Butler's Scottish. I don't know of any Scottish leprechauns. I know of Irish ones, but I don't know if any Scottish leprechauns exist. And if I'm wrong, feel free to write it down in the comments.
Is that
Continue,
supposed to
Stevie.
be the joke?
I guess, yeah, and then more leprechauns show up. It's really unfunny. Okay, the last skit is easily the worst one, and I cannot believe that James Gunn was involved with this last skit. It's about Elizabeth Banks, who is in a relationship with a guy who has a cartoon cat, and the cartoon cat is sexually attracted to its owner, so it's continuously trying to ruin Elizabeth Banks's life, and it is not funny. And it's the last thing you see in this film. Keep in mind, the last image in this film is a man French kissing a cartoon cat, and James Gunn, Mr. Guardians of the Galaxy and live-action Scooby-Doo himself, was a part of that. And when I found that out, I'm like, I hate it even more now. Oh, and the ultimate thing about this, the people that were in this were basically tricked into doing it because they did that first skit with Kate Winslet and Hugh Jackman, and then they just said, "Hey, can you call up some of your fellow big name actor friends? Like we're gonna get them, we want to do like a bunch of skits. We're gonna put it online." And then guess what? They put it together into a movie, and they made quite possibly one of the worst things of all time.
I'm betting all the celebrities in this never wanted to speak to the Joker that directed this ever again.
Oh my God. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. I think one of my favorite reviews is it was just simply labeled "The Citizen Kane of Awful." I think that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I think Richard Roper made had a list of movies that somebody gave him a drug that he said would allegedly wipe his mind of any bad movie, and he had a list of movies he almost took it at. He took it at this one, and he wrote, "It didn't work. Screw you, guy that gave me that pill." I'm like, that's a good review. Just wow, everything about this movie is wrong. It's like there are funny skit comedy movies out there, but this is not one of them. It's so bad. And guess what? This came the ultimate screw you to these celebrities as egos. Hugh Jackman right before this was in Les Miserables. Could you imagine going from Les Miserables to this?
And even Les Miserables didn't do super well. I mean, it did okay.
I liked it.
Oh, I liked it too, but a lot of people
had problems with it.
Were like, look at the soundtrack, it should have been pre-recorded, it shouldn't have been sung live. And Russell Crowe.
And Dodger there.
Oh God.
Now,
yeah.
As bad as movie 43 is, it's only number 2. Now, number 1 is to a movie that came out the exact same year, is also an anthology comedy, and I can't believe that it actually surprisingly found a way to get even worse than this. Obviously, that film is inappropriate comedy, or inappropriate comedy, as some people call it. It is abysmal. I remember seeing an ad for this on TV. I think it was Comedy Central, not surprising. And I remember seeing an ad for it, and I was like, wait, didn't they already do this? Because a couple of months before movie 43 came out. I'm like, another skit comedy movie, really? And then I looked into it, and I found this whole treasure trove of knowledge about this film. So this was directed by the ShamWow guy, of all people, who, from what I can tell, is a douchebag, but I mean, that's besides the point. He made another terrible skit movie in 1999, which I reviewed for my 300th video. That was Underground Comedy. And for the longest time, inappropriate comedy was going to be known as Underground Comedy 2 or something like that. Underground Comedy 2010, but it got delayed for 3 years. Ironically enough, same thing happened with movie 43. It got delayed, and then they both came out in 2013. This is a skit comedy movie, and it has quite possibly the worst slew of skits you could possibly fathom. The 4 main skits that are in the movie are as follows. Flirty Harry, which is basically Dirty Harry, but the joke is he's gay and he runs around in pink shorts. It's not funny. And he's played by Adrian Brody. I am so sorry.
I feel like if Clint Eastwood ever saw it, he would want to go after the director.
Yeah.
What else is there? Oh, the porn review with Rob Schneider and Michelle Rodriguez, where they play basically Siskel and Ebert type critics that review porn films. It's not very funny. They only do the skit twice, by the way. And the films they review are Sushi Mama, which is basically a porno with people doing bad Gajira style voices dubbed over it, which has a very stupid, unfunny topical reference to the Chris Brown Rihanna incident, which wasn't funny. And the other movie was Sperm Lake, which is a bunch of dudes running around in tutus. It's also not funny. You're gonna hear that a lot because it's just so painfully just bad. I remember like sitting through it when I found it on demand, like shortly before I did the review for it and decided I wanted to do a review of it. And I was just sitting there like mouth agape, like this is real. Someone actually put this together and sat there and thought it was good. How? But then you get to the two last skits that are reoccurring, and they're the worst skits in the movie. You have Black Ass, a parody of Jackass with a bunch of stereotyped ghetto black dudes. It's not funny. And the worst one is The Amazing Racist, which is unfunny comedian himself, Ari Shaffir, basically doing like Borat, like Sacha Baron Cohen style, like candid camera stuff. But here's the thing, it's obviously fake. It's so clearly fake, and they're all incredibly unfunny. Basically, the skits are like just like Sacha Baron Cohen would try to do like these shocking, characters running around in public, trying to get a reaction out of people. It's basically him just being, saying racist, offensive stuff to people, and then trying to get a rise out of them. And the last one that involves this, you can watch the review. I don't feel comfortable saying any of this stuff because I feel like it would just explode horribly even more than it is. But the last skit ends up getting someone to like try to beat his ass, and he goes, no, dude, it's just a prank. Why are you getting all offended? It's just a prank. It's just a joke. And that was the point where I'm like, I'm done. I hate this. Like, I was so livid at the movie at that point. I paused it, and like I had one of those moments where reviewers like they're looking outside the window or they're looking out their balcony, just like, what is my life? That's what I did with this movie. And God, how sad is it that this is the worst movie Lindsay Lohan was ever in? Because Lindsay Lohan shows up dressed up as Marilyn Monroe. Yeah. The biggest takeaway is that is it offensive? Yes, but I think my bigger takeaway is that like it's not funny. It's just incredibly unfunny. Like, I know there's obviously people out there that don't like offensive humor because it's not their thing. That's perfectly fine. There are also like I said this in the Underground Comedy review, but like you look at somebody like Mel Brooks, right? Mel Brooks had jokes that were like you could say were offensive, but Mel Brooks was actually a very genius and very professional comedian when it came to his movies. His movies actually felt like they were saying something and they came from a place of like respect. You watch something like Spaceballs or Young Frankenstein or any of his movies, like even his bad ones, there's still a sense of like he enjoys making movies about this stuff. But this just feels like, oh, it's funny because it's really offensive. No, there has to be a point to the offense. That's what satire is. Same thing with like, you look at something like South Park, Chappelle Show, Boondocks. There's at least like something to take away from it. This movie is just trying to be offensive in the laziest way possible. And it's just like, it's not funny. I hate this movie. That's why it's my number one. Inappropriate comedy. Go to hell. Now, very quickly, I'll breeze through my honorable mentions really quick before we jump to your guys' list. There was some spillover, and I guarantee there's probably some spillover from these honorable mentions. So what I got for honorable mentions, Freedom Force, really terrible animated movie that, like the title, they eventually changed to Fantastic Force in a desperate way to try and rip off Fantastic Four. It's very bad. It's really bad. You want to know how bad this is? There's a character that exists, and his whole purpose in the movie is to fart.
Oh, God.
Charming.
Yeah.
Very.
Bad knockoff movies, again, going back to offensive, we got Snow White and the Seven Clever Boys, Animal Soccer World, which was the only Dingo Pictures movie I've done for Media Wiz so far. Home Alone 4, absolute insult to the franchise. For people that say Home Alone 2 is the worst ever, take a look at Home Alone 4, Taking Back the House. In a similar vein, Addams Family Reunion, very bad follow-up to two really charming movies with the first two Addams Family. Easy to hate animated movies like Wonder Park and the Emoji Movie. They're bad, but I don't know. They felt too easy to make the list, so that's why.
Fair enough.
Turtle in Trouble, very bad animated movie from Denmark. It's way too mean-spirited, but some people say that certain dubs of the movie are different, so maybe the dub I watched was bad, but other ones are better. I can't really say, but the movie just comes off as incredibly mean-spirited. That's all I could say. Roger Corman's Fantastic Four. I reviewed this with Cody, the critical kid. Yeah, it's a Roger Corman movie, very low budget, but in a way it's kind of funny. Same thing with Roger Corman's attempt at doing an animated movie, which took 5 years to make, that being Aladdin and the Adventure of All Time. If you can find it on YouTube, the animation in this is on par with those Philips CDI cutscenes. It looks like that.
Oh, God.
Speaking of bad animation, Tony Hawk's Boom Boom Sabotage, a really horrible, like straight to Cartoon Network movie from around the time that they made those Scary Godmother movies, which are way better than this. And I talked to Pam Pizza about this because he reviewed it. I brought this up to him when we did our Swig Talk together, and he was like, "Oh, somebody brought that to a convention for me to sign." And he said that, like, next to Tony Hawk's face, he wrote in marker like a speech bubble, and it said, "Yeah, I wish it was the 2000s again too." Funnier than anything in the movie. And then two easy to hate baby movies. You got Barney's Great Adventure, which I also reviewed with Cody, and MLPG3, The Runaway Rainbow. They're bad, but like they're made for babies, so that's pretty much why I left them off my list. So yeah, that's all my list. That's my my honorable mentions. You guys can proceed with yours.
All right. Kat, do you want to go first, or should I?
You can go first.
All right. So, my list is a little different from Stevie's. Number one, I just wrote a list. I didn't categorize them, like, from bad to worse. It's just like, oh, yeah, I remember that. Oh, yeah, I remember that. and it's not just, like, movies. But it's more like other stuff that either, he reviewed or I suggested or we both did together. So, we already talked about Sir Billy. So that is first on my list. The second one is Stevie's review of My Immortal. Which, basically, if you guys don't know, is like a Harry Potter fanfic.
Which may or may not be a troll. Like, there's a huge debate going on about that. Either way, I think it's one of my favorite like multi-part reviews, just because I will never forget this. I remember one night, we watched, like, I was like, did you see the full review yet? And you were like, no. Like, I was like, let's watch part one. We watched part one, and then you're like, oh, you want to do part two? I'm like, yeah, we can do part 1 and 2, and then we can finish it some other time. And after part 2, you were like, screw it, let's watch them both. let's watch all the videos in one.
It was sort of like The Room. Like, it was so bad, but it was like, you just had to keep on going. It's just like, jeez. So, number 3, The Slim Shady Show.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
I made you guys watch that. I remember that now. Yeah, there was one night where I made you guys watch that to help me take notes.
Yeah.
God, that was bad.
I forget, like, what jokes I said, but it was like, Eminem, we love you, dude, but nah.
making Encore look like a good career move. If I ever do a top 10 like worst shows or like TV related things I've ever reviewed, that's definitely making the list.
Oh yeah. And speaking of another list of like worst fanfics you've ever reviewed, A Special Truce,
which you helped me review.
Yes, which I did.
I kind of like that one.
Oh my god. What I loved about that review too was like I actually had a bottle of Rolling Rock in the fridge in the garage, and I ran to go get it so like we could do like our own little product placement, because apparently in Hemel Hamster's Special Truce, the Nostalgia Critic just happened to have a bottle of Rolling Rock in his suitcase for whatever reason.
Because everyone knows beer is great when it's lukewarm.
Exactly. As I'm holding up the bottle, which is actually cold, by the way. Another thing where like it's an experience.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm so sorry I made you review the second one all on your own. I tried to make up for it by doing a Pony Fanboy video following that up, but yeah, I'm sorry that I couldn't join you for the second review.
I mean, the second one wasn't as bad, but
no.
But A Special Truce is like raunchy in every sense of the word. It is rated triple, like quadruple or quintuple X.
And apparently James Rolfe has milk dud like nipples, apparently, according to the story. I don't know why that was the one part that stuck out to me.
I look at the box of milk duds and I go, pass.
You got the spelling error. The spelling error of that. You remember they meant to write "take off your boxers," but it's like "take off your boxes," and then we interjected the clip of "don't you talk about my boxes? I like boxes."
Wasn't that my idea?
Yeah, I think it was. Like, the thing is about that review, that fanfic is god awful, and yet it gave us enough material to make jokes out of, which was great.
Oh my god! And Hamster, she kept going back and forth between like real people and their characters. Like she kept going back and forth between Doug Walker and the nostalgia critic James Rolfe and the angry video game nerd. It's like, oh my god!
Like, pick one.
Yeah, it's like, what reality are you in again? You're not Doctor Strange. Wait for Doctor Strange. Oh Lord. All right. Jack and Jill we already talked about. The next one on my list is Preschool Days.
Oh, which we did a commentary on together.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, I said this once in the recent SpongeBob movie vlog that I did, and I briefly mentioned that they're going to be doing another Rugrats reboot. And you know what? I mean, first of all, I think it looks fine as it is, but even if it looked bad, it's still going to be leagues above this.
Yeah, they made the characters look creepy.
Yeah, like they tried to clean it up, and it just looks worse.
Yeah, sort of like the original Magic School Bus, and then you have the Magic School Bus reboot. It's like, what the hell?
That's a really good comparison.
Why did you do it, Miss Frizzle? It's like Miss Frizzle's little sister's Miss Frizzle, but I'm like, no, you are not Miss Frizzle.
Yeah, and I forget if we brought this up in the video, but I there is an episode of the original show that it's pretty much just a better version of this.
Well, yeah, because it's a Rugrats episode. But
they don't clean them up.
Exactly.
I love how like because you and me saw I think a picture of it, and then we were like, we should do a commentary on this. So we just sat down and started recording, watching it, and then as soon as the animation popped up, we were just like, oh, that is a whole lot of no right there.
Oh my, yeah, exactly. The next one, which I actually did a cameo on, if I recall, Pope Town.
Oh, so again, you guys sat through this with me to help me take notes. I am so sorry.
Why did they make the Pope a little kid?
And why is that the main premise of the show? That's it's a one joke premise. This is the kind of thing that's okay, you could probably make a skit out of it. It wouldn't be very funny, but you don't make a whole show based on this. It's basically just another knockoff South Park type show where the Pope child is basically just a knockoff Eric Cartman, this foul-mouthed little round kid that spoiled rotten. It's so bad. It wants to be satirical, I guess, but there's no point to it. It's again with inappropriate comedy and stuff like that. There has to be a reason for the stuff that you're poking fun at. Here it's just kind of it's like people who just learned about atheism and wanted to be edgy to their religious parents. They're like, what if it's a show about the Pope, but they're a child and they don't know much about everything? Ooh, that'll show them. That's basically what this whole show is.
Yeah. The next one, Feeding the Trolls.
Oh, the Burger King feminist. Yeah, the infamous cringe video of this lady. Oh God. Okay. Yeah. The basic what happens in the original video that I reviewed in the style of Cute Fuzzy Weasel's Feeding the Troll series, where Cute Fuzzy Weasel reviews a bunch of really terrible YouTube videos, most of the time from internet trolls. Basically, the video in question is of this feminist woman who works at Burger King. You can tell because she has a Burger King shirt. She was an employee of it, I think, and she was angry at these pro-life people that were on the street, and they started fighting, and she tried kicking their signs and stuff, and take the politics side out of it, that doesn't really matter. She's clearly acting crazy. She's just mouthing off. It's one of those it's like a World Star hip hop video where the people that are recording her, she's like, get the camera out of my face, get it out of my face, and it's just it's insane. It's insanity. And she ends up running away, trying to hide on a bus, and eventually police come and get her. It's insanity.
Yeah. We talked about Spy Kids. like it's 4. The next one was Justin Bieber because yeah, I think he's doing a lot better now, and I wish him well. But way back in the day, man.
You know, he actually made some decent songs in 2020. Yummy was not one of them, which was like the last Justin Bieber song I reviewed.
Yeah, but Despacito was okay.
He was featured on that. That wasn't entirely his fault. But I mean, yeah, Baby, Boyfriend, Mistletoe, and Yummy. Those are like the 4 main songs I reviewed from him. Those are all bad. They're bad in different ways. Like Baby is bad because it has the whole like that was like, you know, Donny Osmond, cutesy boy next door Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
And then Boyfriend was the beginning of his like bad boy Vanilla Ice hair phase. Mistletoe was kind of an in-betweener. Like that was like him trying to be the cutesy boy next door who plays guitar. And then he got Yummy, which like he made like more serious music that year, like Holy, which is all right, and like a bunch of other types of songs. Why did he think that this was the song that was going to launch the album?
I don't know. But like speaking of Justin Bieber, I was thinking of the epic rap battles of history: Justin Bieber versus Beethoven.
Oh God, yeah.
And Beethoven clearly won.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course.
One of my
favorite. Be a little white usher, then show them to their seats.
Oh my God! I was just gonna say that. That's like my favorite lyric. I would smack you, but in Germany we don't hit little girls.
Little girls.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, like with epic rap battles of history, you could tell who won.
Absolutely.
All right. Number 11, E.T. for Atari. I only put that because I played it myself, and
same.
yeah, the game's bad. I mean, it's
yeah.
I mean, I only played it just so like when I went to go see the AVGN movie, I could go, yep, been there, done that, nerd. Been there, done that.
You know what the funniest thing about that is? I played that game at RetroCon where James Rolfe was at and showing the AVGN movie. That's where I got to see the movie for the first time. In the movie theater next door to it.
Nice.
Yeah. And I remember after I was finished playing it, I saw him walking over, like with his entourage. I went over, I'm just like, and I was wearing a nerd cosplay too because I was in preparation for the movie. And whenever I'm like, I just played this game. It really sucks. I can't wait to see you tear it apart. He's like, oh, thank you. And I was like, you're welcome.
He's so sweet. He's like
I know.
He's like the total opposite of like his nerd character. He's like the sweetest guy ever.
I really want to meet him one day.
Oh, it'll be great.
Oh my God.
Nice.
I know. I was extremely nervous when I met him at a video game con like a few years ago. Oh my God. And I'm like, I met James Rolfe.
Your original most viewed video on your old channel.
On my own channel, like it gets like 2,000 views, and I'm going, oh my God, like what the heck?
E.T. is like the worst game ever made, but it's interestingly bad. Like if it wasn't for this game, we kind of wouldn't have the modern gaming industry now. Like this game was so bad, it made people afraid to make video games, and then Nintendo rose from the ashes, and then that led to console wars of the '90s. And now we got Nintendo versus PlayStation versus Xbox, and now PC gaming. And so if it wasn't for E.T.'s failure, then we wouldn't have gaming nowadays.
That's true. So thank you, E.T. All right, this next one I put because I was underwhelmed. Ecto Cooler. Because
it wasn't that bad.
Well, it tasted.
Right.
I know, but it was like juice, which is fine. It was like orangey, but like I got the juice box, and the liquid was orange. It wasn't green, and I was so disappointed.
You got gypped.
I got gypped.
Oh, totally.
I'm like, that's not Ecto Cooler. That's like High C, but you just rebranded and wrote Ecto Cooler.
You're not Ecto Cooler. Hey, why don't you take the rest of the day off? Well, whatever you say, Ecto Cooler.
Maybe the juice boxes got like orange and the cans got green?
Maybe.
When I got my can from my friend Jen, hi Jen. We got I tried it in a cup and it was legitimately green. So maybe the juice boxes they just got lazy on.
Maybe, but they should have done green for the juice boxes and green for the cans to make it consistent.
Yeah. You know what I wish they'd bring back? Those ecto green slime Twinkies. Like those sounded so bizarre. I never got to try those.
Oh, I've seen them, but I haven't tried them. You know what? With Ghostbusters Afterlife, they may do that.
If they do it,
Ooh.
making a video on it.
Oh, and side note, Stevie knows about this, and I think Kat does too. My hatred for Ghostbusters 2016. Ghostbusters. Speaking of James
Oh
Rolfe.
god. Oh god.
Oh, I'm gonna go on this rant, and I really don't want to. Oh my god, it's like the way the film was marketed. It was like, girls rule, boys drool. You guys want to see a female empowerment movie? Go watch the first Wonder Woman film. That was done
Sure.
right, because not only was there a female superhero, but she worked with the men. She didn't treat them any differently. She treated them as equals. They treated her as an equal, and they worked together to stop World War One or World War Two.
World War One.
World War One. So that's the long and short of my rant. If you want the full rant, I guess Stevie will put a description of the stress room below.
Yeah, that was the
Yep.
first revival episode of Stress Room.
Anyway, 13 is Kitchen Nightmares, Amy's Baking Company.
Which you and Patrick, we all watched this together for both a Stress Room and a Media Wiz commentary.
Oh God, I just like, it was such a beautiful restaurant. Yet these owners had their heads up their asses.
They're easily the worst people to ever be featured on Kitchen Nightmares.
Yeah, it's like they don't want to pay their staff. They just are like so dense. It's like, oh my god. Revive Amy's Baking Company. I think he walked out, didn't he?
He walked out, and then the internet reacted to it like, holy crap, like, look at these people, they're insane. And then they responded by freaking out at the internet, and they threatened to, like, it was a crazy thing that happened from there. Like, they threatened to get lawyers involved and try and, like, like, tighten hate speech on the internet, and they freaked out on Twitter and freaked out about people on Reddit. It's a whole thing. And then eventually they did this follow-up episode to try and cover, like, the outrage that happened after that episode.
Yeah, but guess what? They still suck.
Yeah.
Yep.
14, I only put down because as an adult, I can see why people don't like it. Barney's Great Adventure. I mean, I always have a soft spot for Barney, but I can see why people may not like it. Because, like, the whole premise of the original show was that only the kids could see Barney because they have their imagination. But apparently in the movie, the grandparents can see Barney. Like, in the show, I don't recall any adults seeing Barney. At least I don't think. The last one I have, Food Fight versus Sausage Party.
Both
Yeah.
bad movies in their own ways.
Now, I've never seen Food Fight. I tried to sit through the very
You're
first
lucky.
Stress Room. I sat through like 5 minutes of Sausage Party. It's like, you know what? Done. I can't.
Yeah, like Sausage Party is like, I remember, like, at the time I really liked it because I was like, wow, like at the time I thought it was like really revolutionary that we had an R-rated animated movie. But I mean, after like really like rewatching it, like there are some funny parts in it, but like it was not worth the hype. And especially after finding out how they treated the animators, like they treated them horribly, like that just kind of makes me dislike it a little bit more and more.
Yeah.
I mean, oh god, it's like the concept of an R-rated movie, like an animated movie, I'm not entirely opposed to. I mean, like, look at like recent videos that I've talked about for Media Wiz. I mean, I recently reviewed both Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss, and those are like raunchy, TVMA basically animated cartoons. And I think those, like, I would like to see the people that make those make an animated movie. You could do an R-rated animated movie. It's just that this movie kind of just falls in the same trappings of typical like Seth Rogen and Friends movies, where a lot of it's just like weed, dick joke. That's kind of the whole movie.
Yeah.
And Food Fight, yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. But I mean, I felt it was a little too easy, so that's why I didn't put it on my list.
I'm still surprised somebody actually wanted to steal the footage for that film, because the trailer from before the footage got stolen actually had fairly decent looking animation, and Chester Cheetah for some reason.
And Chester Cheetah decided to bolt.
Yeah. And then they, after the film got stolen, they said, "Screw it, we're gonna finish this, damn it!" And it's like, no,
Yeah.
no. And then they realized they made a big mistake.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It's kind of the same thing, from what I can gather. It's kind of the same thing that happened with Sir Billy, where it was made by someone who didn't really have a grasp on CG animation. So that kind of explains it. Like, this was the first time this guy's made a CG movie. So I think that kind of explains it just a little bit. Doesn't make the movie any less bad. It's still terrible, but like.
Yeah, it's still pretty bad.
Yeah, I think I remember a couple of theories as to why it got stolen. One of them was like someone stole it to try and prevent the film from ever like getting made because they thought it was terrible. I'm like, that's probably the most believable one.
Let's go with that.
All right, so that was your list, Shannon.
Yep. All 15.
Now we're moving over to Cat, and I'm very curious to see what's on yours.
Okay, I'm gonna go from least bad to really bad.
Okay.
So here we go. Number 15 for me was not bad, just really generic. The comic that you reviewed, Ninja: The Most Dangerous Game.
Yes, a comic based on a Twitch Fortnite streamer.
What?
I don't understand Fortnite, and I don't really get Twitch that much. And the concept seems like it could be interesting, but it's just so generic. It's like the art's generic, the story is generic. It just is overall bland. It's
Basically just like a vanity project of Ninja, who is a Fortnite streamer who on Twitch. That's basically his thing. It's just kind of like every character is just kind of generic, like you said, and like basically it falls into that trapping that like a lot of fan fictions have, where the main character is just they're the almighty savior of the world who can save us from the evil. Like it's very like one-dimensional. Like it feels like self-insert fan fiction in a way. Like it kind of borders on like My Immortal and Sonichu levels.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah. The whole premise, like I brought this up in the review. The premise is like it could be interesting, like you said. It like, why is it that one of the best examples of this is Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, which I don't care. I like that movie. It's way better than this, and it's way better than Da Boom Crew, which is another terrible animated thing that has a similar premise.
Number 14, the Gravinians.
Yeah.
I saw that when I was young, and I think I was lucky enough to see both airings of it on Cartoon Network and Adult Swim. The sad part is, the best part about it is the villain on Gravinia, where he gets his villain song-ish.
Money makes me happy. Money makes the world go round.
But it looks really awkward. The artist, who is very talented, I don't think his art translates well to 3D animation. And
yeah.
And I feel so bad that they tricked a lot of good actors to be in it. Like poor Jeff Bennett playing weird Frenchy, horny alien.
Oh God, yeah, that guy.
And oddly enough, I would have liked to have seen where it could have gone, but to be honest, I'm kind of glad it didn't, because I don't think it would have lasted that long. Did you see it, Shannon?
I have not. I really should.
It's got Paul Rubens.
Pee Wee Herman's in it.
All right.
Number 13, the Battletoads pilot.
Oh yeah.
I've never played the Battletoads games. I hear that they're good, but infamously hard.
Oh.
But I find that the show is just a bit too mean-spirited and kind of awkward. These poor boys, like they're happiest when they're together, and just because they're not the most popular or they're kind of awkward, it's one thing if the students like make fun of them. It sucks, but it's a thing. But the principal, say goodbye to your job, asshole.
Yeah, the principal splits the boys up because, in his own words, they are the three biggest losers in the school. Like what? Like I get it's a cartoon, but like nobody talks like this.
And wasn't the bad guy kind of generic and the princess generic too?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like the thing is, those characters are more fleshed out in the games, to be honest. Like they like in later installments, to be sure. But like, yeah. I mean, evil Kathleen Barr Queen shows up and she wants to kidnap the princess to take her power or something. Like I forget the motivation, but yeah, Kathleen Barr, who's probably the best. Like her character is bad, but like she's like she has like the worst dialogue, which makes her character kind of funny. Like her line delivery on some things, like the part where she like her last stitch effort to defeat the Battletoads, she's like, "We will destroy them with the whipsaw." Like that's how she says it.
Let's see. Next on my list, the Polar Express on GameCube. I love the I love that movie, but the game was just from what you showed, Stevie, it was not that good.
Yeah.
They were expanding on some ideas that the movie was introducing, like weird Scrooge puppet being the bad guy on the train. It's like, was that going to be a thing in the film?
Maybe. Who knows? Maybe maybe there was a cut of the movie where they went more into that.
Yeah. Well, at least we got our Scrooge movie from that studio with Jim Carrey. Yay!
Yep.
You know, I played that PS1 game like briefly. I think I rented it from like Blockbuster. Never finished it because I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah, it's one of those games where like it's I don't want long, I guess you could say, but there's a lot of stuff in it. Surprisingly, a lot of times sometimes they repeat levels, like they just do the same thing twice. Sometimes. And the best sound design ever, like the death sounds, like when you hit an enemy, amazing. There's the best thing when you hit Scrooge, and he goes, "Over here, hit me!" No, it's so hilarious.
Almost like the sound effects, like in Lego Star Wars, with those death sounds.
yeah, kind of.
All right, let's see. Next, it's a tie between that 2-song review you did with Filthy and Yummy, where the music videos, they just don't fit the title of the songs.
Yeah.
Filthy looks too clean and very Apple-like, and Yummy has some of the most disgusting looking food ever.
Yeah. Like I said, it's like they tried emulating the Bill and Ted Hell sequence, like with like all the weird angles and like weird costumes that's in that video. I surprisingly like missed this. Like it appears in the footage in the review, but like there's weird like editing glitches where like Justin Bieber's face distorts, like it's a TikTok filter for some reason.
Yeah, I pointed that out to you. His weird, creepy chin extending.
God, that and then the music video for Filthy has Justin Timberlake playing a Steve Jobs type of guy, showing off his new robot invention to a crowd of people. I don't know what that has to do with anything in the song, but okay.
Justin Timberlake or Justin Bieber?
No, Justin Timberlake did Filthy.
What?
Justin Bieber did Yummy.
Mm-hmm. They're just both really lame.
Yeah.
Next, a sequel that shouldn't have happened, Addams Family Reunion.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Tim Curry. He could have played a great Gomez, but this is not good at all.
No.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this movie just feels like it's taking ideas from Addams Family Values, which, to be honest, is my favorite of the Addams Family movies. The first one's good. I feel like the second one, like the whole premise of Wednesday and Pugsley at the summer camp, basically they do that, except it's the entire family this time, and they're staying at like this yuppie country club where, there's another Addams family, but they're like, their names are spelled ADAM. So they're the, single D Adams, and they got, they're male confused. So they're at this reunion instead of, they're an actual family reunion. It's like, wow, what a forced way to make this a thing. And this is supposed to be like a bridging the gap between the two movies. and a TV show that came out like shortly afterwards. And nobody, aside from Wednesday, reappears from this movie to that show.
Yeah, I don't think they could afford Tim Curry. I'll watch the animated film from like 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, at least that one was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it in my video when I originally talked about it. Looking back, I don't like it as much, but it's still way better than this. I would rank it the first two, that one. This is like far below. This is 6 feet under.
Let's see. Since they're from the same company, I think I'm gonna add this next on my list. Tiny Robots and the Little Panda Fighter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Tiny Robots. I had the pleasure of watching with you to help you review it, and
Thanks.
yes, you're welcome. But oh my god, it was so boring.
Yeah, like it's so. Oh my god, this is I've said this before. This is like a thing with Video Brinquedo movies because they can't animate for shit. All they do is they just have characters sit around talking about things, and there's a lot of that in this one.
Oh, it feels like the animation is slow, and these are not long movies. They're what, 20, 30, 40 minutes at most?
Yes. Yeah, they're not even an hour length.
Yeah, and I feel so sorry for the 4Kids actors that got gypped into being in these movies.
Yeah.
Like poor Dan Green, you deserve
yeah.
a lot better than
Mike
being
Pollock.
the not robot.
Oh god. Oh yeah, he was like the villain robot, wasn't he?
Yes.
The leader or whatever. Because everyone has such awful names in this. The leader, the builder.
Mm-hmm. And Little Panda Fighter is just insulting.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Little Panda Fighter is the store brand version of Kung Fu Panda.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh man.
I think the show Amazing World of Gumball mocked it and Ratatouille in an episode when Gumball complains that all of their stuff is a knockoff, even their movies, and the dad says, "I thought you liked how to Ratatouille your panda."
And that's one of the main reasons why Gumball is awesome. They were able to take shots at stuff like that.
Yeah, I think they even used the same animation.
It looks like the same quality.
Mm-hmm. So the panda in this film wanted to be a dancer, but instead he gets tricked into boxing. Okay, and his boss decides to disguise himself as the panda in order to make sure his bar doesn't go under. And there's also a manager-like character that's played by Meowth. Literally, it was the same actress as Meowth.
Yeah, she's also in Tiny Robots. She was like the little X-wing fighter thing.
Oh yeah, God, she deserves better. What's next? A lot of these you guys already talked about, but let's see. Thumbelina.
What spot is that on the list?
Pretty high up there. I lost count, honestly.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah, Thumbelina. Look, I like Don Bluth. I really do. Heck, one of my favorite films is from him with Anastasia. But Thumbelina was a big fat nope.
God, yeah, I remember watching this really late at night to take notes for the review, and I was just I'm like, man, this movie is so lame. It's not even fun. It wasn't even fun to take notes for it. It was just kind of boring. The only part I kind of perked up at was when Gilbert Gottfried's character showed up and he sings that song. That's probably the one tolerable song in the whole movie. And it's sung by Gilbert Gottfried doing his Gilbert Gottfried voice.
Yeah, he was the best part. Because everyone else is either stupid or selfish.
Yeah.
Why didn't that bird that likes to keep following Thumbelina around not help her fly home? And why? And I think we all know the worst song is "Marry the Mole."
Yes.
And Miss for Money. O-L-E.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, I got something wrong in my video. I want to point this out. I said that Tony J did the voice of the bird narrator. That's clearly not true. He's the voice of the cow in one scene.
You deserve better, Tony J. Better than just being a random cow.
And let's just point out the painfully obvious. So the main voice of the main character in this movie is Jodie Benson, who did the voice of Ariel in The Little Mermaid. And one of the points in this movie is there's a part where Thumbelina is discovered by these like frog people, and they want to basically get rich off of her amazing voice. Gee, what does that sound like?
I feel bad for saying this, but this was not Jodie Benson's best work.
Yeah.
She just sounded really annoying and whiny. It's impossible. Yeah. It's impossible. All right. Let's see, your commentary on Captain N.
Oh yeah. Oh man, oh god, what a goofy show.
I feel like this could have worked, but they needed to add more effort into it.
Yeah, well, with the backgrounds for starters.
Yeah, you need to actually add backgrounds for your show.
Like this was definitely at the period where like they were awkwardly trying to promote video game stuff. Like this was around the time when all these like cheesy video game movies were coming out, and I mean they weren't very good. Some of them have like a nostalgic charm to them, like I mean Street Fighter movie, the Mortal Kombat movie, Super Mario Brothers movie. This was also the period where like the Super Mario Brothers Super Show with that Zelda cartoon was on. This is probably the most blatant of all these video games. Like this is they literally introduced a character in the later episodes who is a sentient Game Boy.
I am Game Boy.
God, it's just as bad as when they tried making the Rubik's Cube show.
Oh gosh.
My name is Rubik. He pretty much does like a Transformers like transformation thing.
And didn't they have the guy that played Ed from Ed, and Eddie do the voice of the main kid?
Yep, it's Matt Hill.
Poor Matt Hill.
Man, yeah, yeah, he's just kind of like generic main character. He's Mr. Goody Two Shoes in a Letterman jacket. Now, wow, I played so many video games. I know all these video game ins and outs that'll help us with today's episode.
And what on earth did they do to poor Simon Belmont?
Oh god, yeah, they take like this badass vampire hunter guy and they turn him into this like foppish like mountain climber fashionista type. Like, ooh.
My whip is going to whoop you.
If you guys have Netflix, Castlevania is an anime on there. I saw season 1. It was pretty good.
Oh, I love that. I need to see the rest of it, but
So
that
do
first
I.
season was great.
Yeah, it was. It really was. And big shock. It's not that I'm not into anime. I just haven't found any that appeal to me. Except for one called Agretsuko. Oh, so cute.
Agretsuko! I love that one.
It's so cute. You know, I watched like every single like season in one day. It's just so good. I think I may do that again.
All right. Next, Animal Soccer World.
We had Brinquedo, now we got Dingo Pictures, the 2D equivalent of these knockoffs.
Yeah. You want to see like animation where barely any animation exists and everybody sounds like they're half asleep? Dingo Pictures!
All right.
The same people that brought us Lion and the King.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I think Chris probably wants to hurt you for making him watch that.
Now I just have this image in my head of all my characters like lined up with weapons, like an airplane. Like when they're trying to like shake that woman into coherence, but they all have like weapons, like bats and like boxing gloves. All my characters are lined up to try and like take me out for making them sit through garbage.
Oh my God, could you imagine if Dingo Pictures teamed up with LJN? Whoa!
They're pretty much the film equivalent of LJN.
Yeah, I remember like when Stevie posted about Lion and the King, and I made a comment like a child goes, "Mom, can we get the Lion King?" And the parent goes, "No, honey, we have the Lion King at home." And the Lion King, Lion and the King.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, and how did they voice acting get worse from Lion and the King to Animal Soccer World?
Apparently, there's an explanation for that. Apparently, like it's a different dubbing company. So that's like why some Dingo movies sound like they're voiced by like some like one, maybe two people, versus like Lion and the King and some of the more like well-known ones that they've done has like they like in Lion and the King there's there's like a female voice actress like along with like maybe like one or two other people versus Animal Soccer World, for example, where it sounds like one person like doing all the voices.
Let's see. I think we're getting pretty high on my list. So the next one, it's not number 1 yet, but it's still high up there. My number 2 is One More Day.
The comic review that led into Sonichu, which is debatably worse, but in terms of mainstream comics, let's just put this in perspective. There is a comic at one point in time that got sold nationwide, if not globally, about Spider-Man making a deal with the devil.
So basically, a Ghost Rider had Spider-Man's powers.
Pretty much.
And worse.
Good Lord.
And when you really think about it and dissect the story, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. Peter, Mary Jane, and Aunt May are on the run after Peter like unmasks himself in some other comic book event thing.
I think it was Civil War. I could be wrong
Yeah.
about that.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, the movie did it better. And she gets shot accidentally, and he's going nuts trying to find a way to fix everything because he blames himself, and he goes without his costume to try and talk with anybody that he can to try and get people to save her, and it's like, no, sorry, there's nothing we can do. Even though the Marvel Universe has so many geniuses, scientists, and magical people that could help, but nope. And and Peter doesn't even listen to her dying wishes, saying, "Peter, it's okay. It's okay. I'll be you don't have to do this." It's like, "No, I must have you in my life."
Yeah, going back to that point you said earlier, there is a whole part, there's like a 2-page spread where he is going to like so many different people. He goes to like Doctor Strange of all people. And like he's like, "Yeah, man, no, sorry, I can't help you." I'm like, BS, man. BS.
So are they literally throwing the whole Superman the movie thing of not interfering with human history, just like right at Peter?
I guess.
Because the whole point of like Superman was like Lois dies. Superman couldn't get to her in time. She gets buried alive or something because her and her car are going into a crack caused by an earthquake. And like Superman's not supposed to interfere with human history. He decides, screw you, father. Rewinds the Earth back. Lois lands alive for some odd reason.
And now there's 2 Supermans running around?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, there's like a whole like alternate like timeline thing that happens at one point with Peter and Mary Jane's daughter.
Mayday Parker. I think.
There's like a whole thing with that where she has like the funniest looking like walk drawing. Yeah, and then eventually it all comes together where Peter agrees that the big deal is that the devil Mephisto here, somebody's gonna make a WandaVision joke, I guess, at some point.
Oh my god. Yeah, like every villain is Mephisto. And that's all I saw in Facebook groups too. Like the theories, WandaVision. It's Mephisto because Mephisto was, I think, Scarlet Witch's and what's his face? Quicksilver's like biological father.
Yeah. And basically the deal is, bring back Aunt May, but you and Mary Jane don't end up together, Peter. And they share the titular One More Day together, which is just a drawing of them kind of holding each other in a dark room. That's their last day together. And then, time is reset, and now there's a whole new timeline. Although thankfully there is some good news here. They eventually found a way to rewrite the events of One More Day. Yeah, after a while, I did a follow-up video on that for Chris. So yeah, One More Day kind of didn't happen, but it still sucks.
Well, it never should have happened because Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson, like the OG couple. So, like, you can't break up Lois Lane and Superman. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I get bothered when people, when writers try to pair off Superman and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
That's boring.
I mean, I see it, but I'm like, nah, thanks.
Yeah, it's just boring.
Yeah. Especially when you already have a pre-established love interest.
Exactly.
Oh, and didn't they have something where the writer wrote his daughter in as the love interest for Peter?
Oh yeah, there was a follow-up. Brand New Day, I think, was one of the follow-up comics.
Yes.
Yes.
And let's see, number 1 for me would have. I'm sorry if it wasn't actually 15, but
that's okay.
Okay. Number 1, Spaceballs, the animated series.
Oh, boo, boo, boo! Good choice.
See, this was news to me. Like, I've seen the movie a million times.
Because it's a good movie.
Because it's a great movie. Logic would dictate that they would make a cartoon out of it. But I haven't seen it.
Well,
you don't want to.
Well, the explanation is here. It was on G4. It lasted 1 season. Apparently, they planned a second one, but it never went anywhere. Thank God. The animation is below quality of like 2004 Newgrounds animations.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I mean, just okay. And here's the ultimate insult. The first episode is the only thing that parodies Star Wars. And keep in mind, there was that Star Wars animated series that was on at the time. There was a couple of them, actually. There was the Gennady Tartakovsky one that was on Cartoon Network, the Clone Wars show, and then there was the eventual CG one that they did.
Are we counting the cartoon part in the Star Wars Holiday Special?
No, we can act like that didn't happen.
Okay.
But, yeah, so there's tons of animated Star Wars stuff at the time that they could have parodied. But the only Star Wars related thing is the first episode, which was what I did the full review of. I mentioned a couple of other episodes, but so yeah, the first episode is a parody of the prequels, and it's called Revenge of the Sithy, which is supposed to sound like sissy. And it's basically the origin story of Dark Helmet, who, and this is played by the very underrated voice actor Bradley Baker. I am so sorry.
Poor D. Bradley Baker.
And he looks like a bobblehead. Like I know Rick Moranis was a small guy, but like they made him. I don't know what the hell they did with his design.
They were basically making him a combination of Stewie Griffin and the fish from American Dad.
So his backstory is a parody of the prequels, Anakin. Oh, which is probably the closest thing to a clever pun in this whole show, because his name, instead of Anakin Skywalker, his birth name is Panikin Crybaby.
That is the worst pun I've ever heard in my whole entire life.
And Shannon is the queen of puns, so I'll take that as gospel. Oh no, you think that's bad? There's also, instead of Darth Maul, Darth Shopping Mall. Or no, Darth Outlet Mall. It was one of those. It was equally terrible.
No.
They do a parody of the pod race scene in Phantom Menace, but the joke is that it's NASCAR. God, Yogurt has a wife now named Yenta in this.
No, the Jedi are like priests. They're not supposed to marry, but then again, Anakin Skywalker did anyway, so
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Mel Brooks produced and allegedly wrote all these episodes. I don't know how true the writing is, but he does provide the voice of Yogurt and President Scroob.
That's
depressing.
It's still inexcusable.
I know. I felt so bad. Let's see. There's one admittedly kind of funny joke when Darth Outlet Mall or whatever has a fight scene with Panikin, and there's a part where it's like, I knew I would find you in the bottomless pit room. Why? because confrontations always happen in rooms next to bottomless pits. Yeah, they do, don't they? That is the one kind of clever joke that you get in this whole thing. It's just so bad. Oh, and there's a Princess Vespa lookalike, which I guess is supposed to reference like Anakin's romance with Padme. But that's the weird thing about it is that, like, okay, yeah, it makes sense in the parody of the Star Wars prequels, but in Spaceballs canon, Dark Helmet is not related to either Princess Vespa or Lone Star. That was like the whole scene with the, I was your father's brother's cousin's former roommate.
Yeah.
It's like, so he was deliberately not related to them. So that's just weird. It's dumb. And like, trust me, that was the only thing that they parodied from Star Wars. The other episodes are parodies of the following: James Bond, Titanic, Pirates of the Caribbean, Harry Potter, and Caddyshack in the same episode, Jurassic Park, and I swear to God, there's an episode that actually parodies American Idol.
Oh, sweet Lord.
Yeah, like this, it just feels like it feels like no one cared while making this. And I mean, like, I really don't know how they could have made this work, honestly.
They should have left it at Star Wars and maybe did like a sequel series to the movie.
I guess that concludes your guys' lists.
I have a few honorable mentions.
Okay, sure, yeah, go ahead.
Let's see. The grandma got run over by a reindeer. The song is boring, but the movie is so funny. It's so bad it's funny.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Cat in the Hat DVD menu review.
Yes.
They put a lot of content in the DVD for a movie that's pretty disliked.
Yeah. You think it would be very bare bones?
Makes me excited to look at the Big Fat Liar DVD. Apparently, there's some fun bonus features on that.
Let's see. Your review of the double feature of Your Ed Here and Sorry Wrong Ed.
Yeah, those were bad episodes.
It's like you feel so sorry for Eddie in both.
Yeah, like, and Eddie is like the most hot-tempered of all of them. Like, he's like, in some episodes he can be incredibly unlikable. He does not deserve any of the bad karma that he has dealt in either of these episodes.
Yeah, it's no wonder it's no wonder he lords it over Kevin when he gets grounded. Let's see. And the last one I think will be Smile for the Ed. Again, another Eddie torture porn.
Yeah. There's just so many of these episodes where it's like, I said this in my top 5 like other bad episodes that I haven't already reviewed list, but I think the main trope that I hate in like really weak episodes of this show are when someone is punished and they don't deserve to be punished. Like, you look at an episode like Brother, Can You Spare an Ed? That's the one where they use the money that Sarah gave Ed to buy fudge for her and Jimmy, and they use the money to buy Jawbreakers. And at the end of that episode, after Eddie pretty much sells out his friends continuously for money, eventually Eddie is hung from a tree and continuously beaten for the kids' amusement and in exchange for money. It's like, there's actually a reason that they get a comeuppance in that one. But this is like, yeah, Eddie doesn't deserve any of the flack that he's given.
Yeah, all he wants is to get give a nice picture to his mom so he can stay in his brother's room, and Kevin just ruins it for him.
So I guess that wraps up all of our lists. We have almost gone into the 2-hour mark, so this is going to be a very long episode, but it's worth it for the 400th. Am I right?
Right on.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. So there's going to be more Media Wiz stuff to look forward to, guys. Look forward to upcoming stuff in April. I don't really want to disclose what's on the schedule yet because that's the fun about getting to figure out what the next episode's going to be. So look forward to upcoming videos from not just the Media Wiz, but also Captivating Christian, MC Swigga videos, blockbusters, more sidekick stuff, more Planet Goofball shenanigans. You name it, it's going to be on the channel eventually. Just look forward for all of that. Thank you guys so much for 400 videos of Media Wiz. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I really liked your lists. You guys, it was really fun to just reminisce over the awful stuff we've talked about over the years.
Yes.
Right on.
And with that, we end this video with another I'm the Media Wiz because one art form wasn't enough.